Imagine you're lying in bed, the lights are off, and you're all alone. Or are you? Welcome to a place where every whisper is a secret waiting to be revealed, and every shadow hides a spine-tingling tale. Welcome, dear listeners, to Nightmare for Giggles, where bedtime stories aren't for the faint of heart. Here, we dive deep into the darkest corners of the human psyche, bringing you tales that will make you shiver and laugh nervously in the dead of night. So, tuck yourself in, turn off the lights, and prepare for a journey into the unknown. Ron had always been a thrill seeker, drawn to the strange and unexplained. He spent countless hours on the internet, diving into forums and watching videos about urban legends and paranormal activities. One night, he stumbled upon a particularly chilling rumor that piqued his interest: a haunted game of musical chairs meant to be played alone. The post described the game in detail. You could only play between midnight and 3 a.m. in a pitch-dark room with no lights. The chair had to be placed in the center of the room, and you needed to hold a match in your hand without lighting it. The recording of "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" had to play as you walked around the chair 6 times, moving as slowly as possible. If the music stopped, you were to sit down and light the match to win the game. But if the music continued, it meant no one wanted to play with you, and if the chair tipped over, you had to run out of the room immediately and never return. The warnings intrigued Ron more than they scared him. He decided to put the rumor to the test. It was a chilly, moonless night when Ron decided to play the game. He chose the basement of his old house, a room that was perpetually dark even during the day. The walls were bare, the air was damp, and the space had an unsettling stillness about it. Ron checked his watch, 11:50 p.m. He gathered his supplies, a wooden chair from the kitchen, a box of matches, and his phone with the recording of "Tiptoe Through the Tulips." He carried them down to the basement, each step echoing ominously in the narrow stairwell. He placed the chair in the center of the room and positioned himself near the door, ensuring he could make a quick exit if necessary. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. The excitement of the unknown was mixed with a palpable sense of dread. At the stroke of midnight, Ron closed the basement door, plunging the room into complete darkness. The only sound was his own breathing, which seemed unnaturally loud in the stillness. Ron took out his phone and started the recording. The eerie melody of "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" filled the room, its cheerful tone starkly contrasting with the sinister atmosphere. He held an unlit match in his hand, the wood cool against his fingers. He began to walk around the chair, counting each slow step in his mind. 1, 2, 3. The music seemed to wrap around him, its notes dancing in the darkness. 4, 5, 6. He completed the 6th circle and waited, his heart pounding in his chest. The music continued to play, and he felt a wave of disappointment mixed with relief. No one wanted to play with him. He was about to stop and leave when he noticed something strange. The chair was rocking slightly, as if someone had just stood up from it. A chill ran down Ron's spine. He remembered the warning about the chair tipping over. His instincts screamed at him to leave, but his curiosity kept him rooted to the spot. The chair stilled, and the music continued, but now it seemed to grow louder, more insistent. Just as Ron decided to end the game, the chair tipped over with a violent crash. Panic surged through him. He bolted for the door, fumbling with the handle in the darkness. He could feel an icy presence close behind him, urging him to move faster. He burst out of the basement, slamming the door shut behind him. His breaths came in ragged gasps as he backed away, staring at the closed door. The house was silent once more, but the oppressive sense of dread lingered. Ron couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The temperature in the house seemed to drop, and he could hear faint whispers that he couldn't quite make out. He tried to convince himself it was just his imagination, but deep down, he knew he had awakened something in that basement. Over the next few days, Ron noticed strange occurrences around his home. Objects would move on their own, lights would flicker, and he often felt a cold breeze even when the windows were closed. He tried to return to his normal routine, but the unease never left him. One night, as he was about to fall asleep, he heard the faint strains of "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" coming from the basement, Fear gripped him, and he knew he couldn't ignore it any longer. He had to confront whatever he had awakened. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of determination, Ron made his way back to the basement. The music grew louder as he approached, and the door seemed to vibrate with the sound. He took a deep breath and opened the door, stepping into the darkness. The flashlight beam cut through the gloom, revealing the chair standing upright in the center of the room. The music stopped abruptly, and an eerie silence descended. Ron felt a cold hand brush against his neck, and he spun around but saw nothing. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice trembling. The only response was a soft, sinister laugh. The chair began to rock back and forth, and Ron realized he was not alone. Summoning all his courage, he walked towards the chair, determined to face whatever was haunting him. As he reached out to touch the chair, a ghostly figure materialized before him. A child, with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. The child's voice was a mere whisper, but it echoed loudly in the room. "You shouldn't have played alone." Ron's fear turned to resolve. He knew he had to end this once and for all. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a match. With a quick strike, he lit it, and the room was bathed in its flickering light. The ghostly child recoiled, its form wavering. Ron took a step back, holding the match out in front of him. The figure's smile faded, replaced by a look of pure malice. "You can't escape," it hissed. "We are bound now." Summoning his last reserves of strength, Ron threw the match onto the chair. The wooden seat caught fire immediately, the flames casting eerie shadows on the walls. The child's scream was a piercing wail that echoed long after the figure vanished. Ron stumbled out of the basement, slamming the door shut behind him. The fire in the chair had already started to spread, and he knew he had to leave. He ran out of the house, not stopping until he was safely on the street, watching as the flames consumed the building. The house was a total loss, but Ron felt a strange sense of relief. The haunting presence was gone, and he was finally free. He moved away, leaving the memories and the darkness behind. However, he couldn't forget the final words of the ghostly child. The experience had left a mark on him, a reminder of the dangers of seeking thrills in the unknown. Ron never spoke of the game again, but the memory lingered, a chilling reminder of the night he played musical chairs alone. And though he moved on, he always felt a cold presence when he was alone in the dark. A reminder of the spirits that still lurked in the shadows, waiting for the next curious soul to challenge their haunting game. Thank you for joining us on this nightmarish adventure. Remember, the next time you hear a creak in the floorboards or see something move out of the corner of your eye, it might just be your imagination, or maybe it's something more. Until next time, sleep tight and don't let the giggles bite.